For hundreds, if not thousands of years, philosophers have discussed some of the world's greatest mysteries. Why are we here? Is there a heaven or hell? What happens at the end of all of this? But as time passes, new questions come to mind. And in today's episode, we ask ourselves the most important question of all. What fictional character will win a death game? What's up, YouTube? It is your Lawrence Xavier King D353 here, and for the last couple of weeks, I've been seeing people discussing a really weird topic. That being, what Genshin Impact character would win Squid Game? No, I don't know why people are questioning this. No, I don't know why I'm making a video on it. Oh wait, I do. I'm a moron that keeps making random shit no one cares about. For those of you who've been with my channel for a while, you should actually notice you should have noticed this, like all the random videos I'd bring up out of nowhere that had nothing to do with video games. At least this one's on a topic of a video game. But yeah, since I disagree with a lot of the takes people making their own Genshin Squid games have done, I figured I would try my own hand at this. So here we have our nice, lovely little tier list here, which I'm going to be using to show how far everyone gets in the game. We got the winner, obviously, the Squid Game people who die on the bridge, people who die at marbles, people who die at Tug of War, people who die in the mystery killing spree that may or may not happen, people who die in the honeycomb shape cutting, and people who die in red light, green light. The most terrifying of all children's games, don't you know? Alright, I probably should have mentioned there would be Squid Game spoilers in this, with those spoilers being, well, what games are played in the Squid Game. So, yeah. I have already written down who I think is going to win, and I'm going to discuss it here for you all. So, let's begin. First and foremost, the rules. We are going to assume that everybody here is human, and that they do not have powers, because if they had powers, they wouldn't be in the situation. Not to mention some random people with guns don't really, span much of a problem to, gods. Or people could turn to water or whatever. So, yeah, we're going to assume everyone is a human, and we're going to assume there are no powers involved. All they have are their personalities and the intelligence that comes with it. Alright, with that set, let's begin with Red Light, Green Light. A game about following directions, patience, and taking your time when necessary, while at least being fast enough to succeed. A lot of people have Venti down as the first person to die due to his, less mature nature, but I don't think Venti is literally so inept that he would get shot here. I think Venti would move at a swift enough pace to keep up, but slow enough to stop when need be. Venti can be a little childlike, yes, but he's not the type to rush in. He's more of a subdued child, a calm, everything's cool kind of person. You know what I mean? You don't know what I mean. I did a very bad job explaining that. Honestly, I don't think anybody would be especially prone to losing at red light, green light. I mean, and then the show, as we saw, shit didn't really go down until the first person dies. The question is, would anyone die at red light, green light? And if anybody did die, who would cause the chain reaction? It would need to be somebody too hyper, somebody whose speed would get the best of them. Somebody like, and believe me when I say I hate that I'm doing this, my favorite Genshin character is going to be the first one to fucking die. Klee is an energetic ball of sunshine and joy that must be protected at all costs. She is also so fucking energetic that I am convinced that she will be moving when they say red light, and as a result will be shot. Meaning that this beautiful little angel here is going to cause a chain reaction of death and destruction. Because, being the one watching over her, Jean's are going to react and die. And seeing her beloved big sis die, Barbara is going to react and die. And not going to be able to handle the multiple people dying around him because of his bad constitution, Chung Yun is also going to motherfucking die. In all this madness, Bennett, with his legendarily bad luck, is likely going to be knocked over by somebody and die. And finally, because of her lethargic nature, I don't think Sayu will make it across the finish line in time. So, yeah, she's gonna die too. Now, a lot of people might be wondering, so why doesn't Chi-Chi die here? Well, you see, since this is a world where everybody is human, no gods, no adepti, no nothing like that, Chi-Chi can't be a zombie. She's a regular little girl. And keep in mind, Chi-Chi's lethargy and her forgetfulness and all of that, it comes from her being a zombie. She's no longer of this world. But since Chi-Chi no longer has that character trait, she's no longer the forgetful and tired zombie we know. As such, well, one, it makes me wonder what her personality will be. Ultimately, I decided that Chi-Chi would still be a slower personality character, like somebody who's more calm and reserved. But I also think she would be a hard worker, and as such, I think she would do fine at red light, green light. So yeah, I think Chi-Chi's still going to be in. But what about other characters that are likely to freak out, like Diona or Amber or Noel? Well, I do think other characters would be afraid by this, obviously. But while these characters are characters I think would react to their fear or be knocked over, I am so sorry, Bennett. You do not deserve this. But the rules of luck have spoken, my man. I think the other ones would not be a reaction fear, but rather a frozen fear. So that's why I have the other ones surviving. So, yeah, here are deaths for red light, green light. Now, we move on to the honeycomb shape cutting. And here's where you realize I put way more thought into this than I really should have, because seriously, me, what the hell? We are now at the honeycomb cutout. As you know, with the honeycomb cutout, there are 4 shapes available: the umbrella, the star, the triangle, and the circle. Everyone is supposed to stand by one at random, and they have to cut out their shape without cracking it. And if you crack it or do not finish by time's end, you are killed. I actually went through all the characters and thought to myself, what shape would they choose? And here's what I came up with. For Team Umbrella, we have Lisa, Diluc, Ayaka, Raiden Shogun, Chi-Chi, Beidou, Aether, Jinkyu, and Sara. Why? I chose Lisa with Umbrella because it's nice to just read on a rainy day. Diluc, I chose Umbrella because on a rainy day less people would bother him, and people stuck in the tavern would have more time to buy drinks. I chose an Umbrella for Ayaka because, well, rich women tend to have those pretty umbrellas they hold over their heads to look fancy and shit. I chose Umbrella for Raiden Shogun because I feel like even if she's not the goddess of thunder, her personality needs to relate. She must have something linking her to storms, or she just likes the weather. Who knows? I think she would choose the umbrella on a spiritual level of sorts. Chi-Chi prefers cold weather, and it's colder during the rain. Beidou loves the ocean, and an umbrella is representative of rain and thus water. Aether would choose an umbrella because it represents protection. Oh, that reminds me, I never went over this. Aether and Lumine, they are both in this game. I'm sure you guys have noticed by now. Aether is going to keep the protagonist personality, and Lumine is going to keep the Abyssal Princess personality. So while they're both in the game, they do have different personalities. And I'm assuming Aether's the type that would want to protect people. So I think he would choose the umbrella to represent that. Jinkyu would choose the umbrella because, again, rainy weather is great for reading, and this man is a nerd! And Sara would choose the umbrella because Raiden Shogun chose the umbrella, and Sara is a fucking simp! For the stars, we have Amber because she loves the sky. She's no longer the gliding champion of Mondstadt because gliding doesn't exist in the real world, but who knows, maybe real world Amber wants to become a pilot. She literally has the pilot goggles on. Jinyan is a star because she's a rock star. What do you want from me? Yoimiya is a star because the closest thing to a firework here. Rosaria is a star because she likes the night sky. Fischl is a star because she's a princess from the stars. Kaya's a star because he also enjoys the night. Ningguang is a star because the closest thing to representing the finer things in life. You know, stars are fancy, right? But right? Lumine is a star because Aether and Lumine are linked to the stars, so I decided to give her a star. And Mona is stars because she's an astrologist. Next, we have the triangle. I gave Kokomi a triangle because it looked the most like a war formation. I gave Kachinga's triangle because... violence? Honestly, it got a little weirder as I went down. Noel I gave the triangle because it looks like a maid's dress. Child I gave the triangle because it's pointy and looks like a weapon, and Child loves violence. Zhao I gave the triangle because one of the sharpest shapes, and as you know, Zhao likes to suffer. Diona I gave the triangle because I ran out of things to give her, and Arrowhead I guess. Yanfei gets a triangle because I ran out of things. Eula gets a triangle because I ran out of things. And Kazuha gets a triangle because I ran out of things. Ganyu gets a circle because she feels like a simple woman to me and as such will choose a simple shape. Jingling gets a circle because it it looks like a frying pan and you'll find comfort in that. Hu Tao gets a circle because it's the circle of life and it moves the soul. I don't deserve any views on this. I gave Venti a circle because I felt like a circle represented freedom, and that was a very stupid reason, but hey, he has the circle. Shut up. Razor has the circle because I think Razor would want something simple. Albedo has the circle because it's the closest thing to the Earth, and as we know, Albedo loves the Earth. Sucrose gets a circle because Albedo-senpai has the circle. Toma gets the circle because I ran out of shit. Also, friendship and togetherness is more represented by a circle than a triangle. And Zhongli gets a circle because Earth, I guess. Alright, so the people I have dying in this round. I think Diluc would die because he has a complex shape, and he would die due to a timeout because he just cannot get the umbrella out in enough time. I think Chi-Chi also dies. Now, whether Chi-Chi dies because she cracked her umbrella or because she ran out of time, I think with such a complex shape and no logical reason to think Chi-Chi would be especially skilled at this, I think she would be one of the people that just runs out of time. Beidou isn't running out of time. She just straight up cracks her umbrella. Does this woman look like a delicate person with nimble fingers to you? No. And finally, I think the Raiden Shogun would die because she has a very complex shape to deal with. So she will likely die cracking it by accident. So, full disclosure here, Raiden Shogun, I actually wasn't sure if she would die or not. She could have died here or she could have died later on. She was the one person where I wasn't sure either way if she would live or die. So I made a decision. If the next round perfectly split into 4, or split into any type of group that lets me do Tug of War, she would live. If not, she would die. I needed one less character. Goodbye, Raiden Shogun. Speaking of which, we are now at Tug of War, and I repeat, I put too much thought into this. Because I made Tug of War teams. At this point, we have 32 people left in the competition. As such, the teams are now split into teams of 8. Our 4 teams of 8 are the team led by Aether and Lumine, which include Venti, who joined because of his friendship with Aether, Amber, who joined because of her friendship with Aether, Eula, who joined because of her friendship with Amber, Yanfei, who joined because of her friendship with Eula, Kaya, who joined because multiple Knights of Favonius were on the same team, and Noel, who joined because multiple Knights of Favonius were on the same team. Team 2, led by Zhongli and Hu Tao. Jing Qiu joins because of Hu Tao. Jing Ling joins because of Hu Tao and Jing Qiu. Zhao joins because of Zhongli. Ganyu joins because of Zhongli and Zhao. Keqing joins because of Ganyu, and Ningguang joins because of Keqing. Team Free, Kokomi. Kokomi would be teamed up more strategically. First of all, she'd take Toma, Ayaka, and Sara because she knows them and knows they will be useful to her team. She will grab Lisa due to Lisa's intelligence. Now keep in mind, no one knows the game in advance. They just know they need to make teams of 8. So that's why, despite it being Tug of War, she would choose Lisa for a bit more intelligence. Keeping in mind that her team doesn't have any raw power to it, she would then have Razor join them to get some strength in there. She would then get Kazuha, because she knows him and trusts him, and Mona due to her intelligence. Team 4 is led by Child, with the only person who actually trusts him being Xinyan. As a result of this, these two have to take the leftovers once the other teams are taken. The leftovers being Albedo and Sucrose, Yoimiya, Fischl, Diona, and Rosaria. Probably the only person that wouldn't care that Child is kind of a prick. Oh, that reminds me, I never did go over the killing spree, did I? Will there be a killing spree in my game? No, because the only person I could see triggering a killing spree would be Child. But Child is less maliciously evil and more like, dude, I would love to have a fight right now evil, but he won't just walk up to a random person and stab them on the street. So I don't think he'd start a killing spree. Even if he did try to start one, he would need a team to do so. And the only people I could think of that might join him for that are like, I don't know, maybe Rosaria? He doesn't have enough manpower to try to get away with that shit. So yeah, I do not think a killing spree would happen. And as a result, no one will die in the killing spree. So yeah, with our teams made up, I actually rolled a d4 to decide what teams would face each other. And the d4 decided that Team 1 would face Team 4. Meaning we have Team Aether and Lumine versus Team Child. And then 2 versus 3. So Team Wangshang Funeral Parlor versus Team Coco. I decided that in the case of Team Aether and Lumine versus Team Child, Aether and Lumine's team would win because they just have stronger people in it. However, I do think Albedo would make that win very difficult on their opponents because he would be the type to think of a strategy. Maybe. Let's be real, Albedo's smart, but he's not strategy smart, he's worldly smart. So, while he may think of a plan or something, I don't think the plan he thinks of would be enough to actually save his team. So, yeah, let's go ahead and eliminate Team 4, shall we? Tartaglia, Goff, Jinyan, I'm sorry, sweetie, Goff, Albedo, Boop, Sucrose. I don't like the idea of you splattering Sucrose. You don't deserve this. Yoimiya, Fischl. As you see this team next to each other, you're going to realize more and more why they died. I mean, look at some of these people on here. By the way, even though I'm killing them off, I want to discuss something right now while I have the chance. A lot of people seem to think that people like Fischl are actually dead weight. Now, don't get me wrong. They ain't strong. They are not going to be carrying any weightlifting competitions. But let me just point out that bow strength, it takes a lot to pull a bow. These girls and Tartaglia aren't useless. But I still think they aren't enough to beat Aether and Lumine's team. So, next up we have Team Wangshang Funeral Parlor versus Kokomi. And as I looked over these teams, I found that their teams were actually quite evenly matched. Which basically means Team Liyue is screwed because Kokomi is a strategist and would think of the strategies that we saw in the show. So, yeah, I killed off all of Liyue, and I quite frankly did not expect that. So needless to say, I'm kinda sad. I didn't mean for all of these people to die, and yet here they are, going on the death list earlier than intended. So, yeah, the rival character died, and so did everyone in Liyue, and just wow, just wow. Yan Fei is the only survivor from Liyue. Oh god, this is horrible. This is absolutely horrid. So, yeah, after that round of death, destruction, and all around sadness, we move on to marbles. And once more, I went farther than I had any right to as I put together every pairing. So, let's go over the pairings I have in this little handy dandy list in front of me. First of all, we have Eula versus Amber, because they are besties for resties. And the winner is Amber, because I think Eula would throw the match for her friend while pretending to be into it. Probably pulling a similar thing to those two girls that didn't talk to anybody, talking to the last game and having a final game where Amber throws her marble like a boss, knowing damn well her friend, who was physically superior to her, is gonna kick her ass, and then Eula's like, oopsie doopsie. I seem to have dropped it. Vengeance will be mine for this transgression. Have fun in life. Eula, why? Okay, I'm getting really, really fucking distracted. Alright. Next pair of besties to be going in. We have Toma versus Ayaya, because he is her retainer. And as her retainer, he will die for her. Congratulations, Ayaka. You live another round. Next, we have Noel versus Kaya, because, well, he's her superior. She loves him. He is a Knight of Favonius, and she will trust him, and I think Kaya would team up with her because she is stronger than him, and as such would be a good asset, as well as the fact that he knows she will listen to him. So, he's going to pull an Ollie and trick her and kill her. I am so sorry, Noel. Oh god, it hurts every time someone dies. Next up, we have Lisa and Razor, because Lisa is Razor's teacher. As such, these two also have a close bond. They were also on the same team previously due to Kokomi's strategy, so they had a reason to bond even more. With Lisa and Razor teaming up, and Lisa learning just how dangerous this game is, she is going to let Razor win whether he likes it or not, because she is going to die soon, and Razor is not. His life is worth more than hers, ultimately. So, let the child live. Next up, we have Kujo-Sara and... oh wow, I put Kokomi up instead of Ayaka. Whatever. Kujo-Sara and Kokomi. These two have a high respect for each other, so I see no reason why they would not team up based off of pure mutual respect. This is the first team where they play fairly rather than one person killing the other by trickery or bullshit or just, I want you to win. They would go head to head in a battle of wits, and let's be honest, we all know Kokomi wins a battle of wits between the two. Alright, so full disclosure. I wanted this to end in Aether versus Lumine. I wanted these two to be the finalists, because they're the most well-rounded of everyone here. We all know they have the highest chance of success, because they are Mary Sues with no flaws whatsoever. But the fact of the matter is, there was no reason for you to split up this round. I originally thought, oh, I'll pull a, random bitch tit character and Ali moment where Lumine teams up with the strongest member of her team and Biggity bounces, leaving Aether to team up with someone like Venti. Venti would be a good partner for Aether, but no. Lumine didn't have anybody to naturally latch onto over Aether. The only other person that would be worthy of that would be Eula, and I think Eula would already be teamed up with Amber before she even gets the chance. So, yeah, I can't bullshit these two out of the same team. The twins would team up because the twins are the closest people here. Of course they'll team up. They trust each other above all else. So the question is, in the battle of Aether versus Lumine, who would win? As far as we know, as far as battle capability goes, these two are basically evenly matched. with a slight strength advantage to Aether and a slight speed advantage to Lumine. So, the fuck? Who do we let win? Well, I think the deciding factor here is their personalities. Remember, I gave Aether the protagonist personality, and I gave Lumine the Abyssal Empress, Princess, Abyssal Princess personality. And as we know, the Abyssal Princess is cold, cunning. She's more realistic and more ruthless than the protagonist. So I think Lumine's personality gives her the edge here. But that brings up another question. Would Lumine want to kill her brother? I am convinced that both of these twins would die for each other. Even with the more cold, calculating personality of the Abyssal Princess, I don't think she'd want Aether dead. I think these two wouldn't be playing to win. They would be playing to lose. And because Lumine is smarter, I think she'd pull it off. So, in a weird twist of fate, by winning, Lumine is gonna die, and Aether is going to live. God, okay. Now, we reached a point where we don't have people that match up well. We just had 4 leftovers. So, Kazuha and Venti are now going to pair up, because they were running out of people, and, well, they're both carefree for souls, so whatever, I guess we're partners now. And I think Venti would take this one because I think Venti would know more about children's games than Kazuha would. Finally, we have Yanfei versus Mona. Leftovers versus leftovers. I think Yanfei wins this one because keeping in mind that there are going to be no superpowers involved here, Mona Majestis is just a regular astrologist who's kind of smart. Yanfei's a fucking lawyer. She's either gonna win the marbles game legitimately, or she's gonna pull some bullshit and fucking beat Mona by rules lawyering. Maybe she'll also pull the Ali bullshit. Who knows? Either way, we are now down to 8. Amber, Ayaka, Kaya, Razor, Kokomi, Aether, Venti, and Toma. Also, I have now decided on the fly that the Killing Spree section, since it's blank, is going to be used for showing things. Anyway, so now we're down to 8. Here's where I'm actually going to change something. Originally, I just conveniently made it so that the last 2 to 3 people in the order lived, because that's how it happened in the show. But I just remembered that's not how it would work. People would still have to guess things. More might die, less might die, who knows? Well, actually, I'm going to throw my own script off right now. First of all, I'm going to tell you the order people go in, and after that, I'm actually going to use a dice roller to see if they choose the correct option or not. So, here is our bridge order. Starting from the back. In the back would be Kokomi, because she is a strategist, and I want to see what everybody else does so she can act accordingly. In front of Kokomi would be Aether. Honestly, I think Aether would just get that because he'd stand back and take the last thing. In front of Aether is Kaya. Kaya would want to hang back as well, because he wants to see how others go, but he won't want to be in the back in case of, death. Alright, so actually, I think this is also something that I changed on the fly because of my favoritism towards Aether winning. But really, there is no way to know for sure what order these 3 would go in. I do think these 2 would want to hang to the back. But I also think Aether would choose one of the last things, and I do think others are also unwilling to be too far back. So, I'm just going to keep it as written here, and I have Aether second to last and Kaya's third to last, so I'll leave it like that. So next up we have Yanfei. As a lawyer, she would also be smart and realize, okay, I don't want to be the first one to go, but I also don't want to be the last, because as we've seen before, the timer is a thing. The timer can kill you. Venti was chill like Aether, just went with whatever was left over. And finally, Razor, Amber, and Ayaka, I think, will take the lead. Ayaka is used to leadership. Amber has a go-get-em attitude. And Razor is, well, I think he's just a confident and brave person. I think he would want to be farther up rather than behind. So yeah, originally I just assumed that these 5 would die and these 3 would live. But instead, I'm actually going to change things up. So in the original game, there were 16 people and there were 8 bridges. Because of this, I'm going to assume there are half the amount of bridges as there are people. So I'm going to assume there are 4 bridges with 2 things. Now, I have a dice roller on my phone and I'm going to roll it. If a character gets a 1 or 2, I will assume they got the thing wrong. And if they get a 3 or 4, I'm going to assume they got it right. And of course, if someone in front of them gets it wrong, they will move on. Of course, I will keep in mind the chances of a character killing another one to get ahead. I do not think Ayaka would be the type to hesitate, so we will not have to worry about somebody killing her. 1 or 2 is wrong, 3 or 4 is correct. Ayaka guesses correct for the first jump. 1 or 2 is wrong, 3 or 4 is correct. Ayaka falls at the second one and dies, meaning Amber is now on the second set because 1 is missing from there. And Amber guesses wrong. So, Razor is now reached the third set. And Razor guessed wrong. So Venti has reached the 4th set, meaning we have a surviving squad of 5, and shit blows up, hurting everyone. So now we need to decide how severe everyone's injuries are. Let's see, of 3 characters, 1 got hurt, so I'm going to assume there's a 30% chance of being mortally wounded by the glass. I'll roll a d6, and if you get a 1 or a 2, you are mortally wounded. So, Coco is mortally wounded. Aether is mortally wounded. Kaya is perfectly fucking fine. Yanfei is mortally wounded, and Venti is fine. Are you fucking kidding me? Alright, so let's add something before the Squid game. Add row below. Glass injuries. Oh god, I fucked up my own game. Alright, Kokomi's dead. Aether's dead. And Yanfei is dead. Kaya likely slit all of their fucking throats. Meaning we now have Venti versus Kaya. That's our final 2. Holy shit, I have absolutely torn up my script by adding random chance. But it makes sense. The glass bridge is literally random chance, so it makes sense, but holy shit. Okay, so we now have the final of Venti versus Kaya in the Squid game because 3 fucking people were impaled by glass. With the final of Venti versus Kaya, we now have to make the coin flip to decide that who actually gets to choose. 1 or 2 is Venti chooses offense or defense, and 3 or 4 is Kaya chooses offense or defense. Venti chooses. Venti, knowing more about the Squid game, will likely know the more advantageous position, and that is most definitely defense. So Venti would play defense, while Kaya would play offense. Now, as for who would win, Kaya's a more aggressive person, but Venti knows more about children's games. But they both have knives. I'm sorry, Venti. I want to give you this because you're the good guy, but I guess in this world, the bad guy wins, and Kaya goes through and wins the victor. So, yeah, that was an unexpected version of the Squid game. Let's, chaos control back in time for a moment. let's pretend I didn't fuck everything up by adding random chance. And let's show you what I originally had scripted. So originally what I had scripted was, of course, the leaders die, Yanfei dies, and Venti dies. Originally I had these three as the survivors, with Kokomi taking the glass shard to the back because fuck you, Kokomi. Women aren't allowed to win. No, but in all seriousness, I chose Kokomi solely because, one, she's in the back, so she's the one most likely to get hit head on by the glass. And two, Kaya and Aether just kind of matched the aesthetic of a final battle better. So originally I had scripted for Kokomi to die to injuries, and then, well, more accurately, get hurt by injuries and be off by Kaya. And then we would have the final battle of Aether versus Kaya, which would naturally be won by Aether because Mary Stew. But, you know, as the random choice decided, Kaya's actually going to win because Aether is a glass corpse. And Venti's a finalist. Woo. This is a fucking mess and a half. So, there we go. There is my Genshin Impact Squid game. In a world where I didn't add chance and scripted this like an actual Squid game, Aether wins. But in the world of realism where randomness is a bitch, Kaya wins. And Venti died because I'm not allowed nice things and I cannot lie in Venti's favor. I tried my best to be as objective about this as possible. Hence Klee dying so fucking quickly. And, yeah. Here we go. These are the results. Tell me below why I'm a fucking moron. Or if you agree, also cool. Feel free to put your own tier list down below and I will happily look at all of them. I hope you all enjoyed this rather experimental video, and I will see all of you lovely people next time. Donate to me on Buy Me a Coffee if you want. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the video, or don't. Anyway, I'm gonna go enter this very mysterious game for money because I need cash to live. Deuces, YouTube.